Hi guys, it's me, Professor D, and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be much different than the videos that I normally post. It's impromptu. I woke up this morning and I was thinking, you know what, there are some things I really wish somebody had told me when I was in a nursing program. And so I'm making this video with the point of view, of course, of being a student. I still remember what it was like to be a student, but also being a nursing instructor where I'm teaching this information. I'm making these exams, okay? And that's how come I have such a good knowledge of what's important, what kind of, what you need to study, what's important to know, because I write these tests, okay? And these things I'm going to talk to you guys about, I wish somebody told me when I was a nursing student. It would have made my life a lot easier. So I'm just going to jump into it. So the first thing, I think there's 7 or 8 points. The first one is don't cram. Guys, stop it. I literally can't even with you when you do this, because I don't understand why students will sit there and cram. Let me tell you something. The nursing program is not the program that you can study last minute and think that you're going to do well. And here's why, guys. This information is complex and it's not straight to the point. So you can know that book from beginning to end. But if you don't know how to think critically to answer those questions, you'll still get it wrong. What does that mean? That means you have to give yourself enough time to read the material. Go to class, listen to lecture. After class, write notes. After writing notes, practice questions on that information. It's not enough, guys, that you just take notes and you read. You have to practice questions, and there's so much free material online, guys. You can Google, free NCLEX questions on maternity, free NCLEX questions on peds, and you'll find so many. There's no excuse, okay? And I'm telling you, if you want to do well, that's what you need to do. Read your textbook, go to class, take notes, and then practice questions. By the way, guys, those questions that you practice, the rationale is more important than the answer. I'm telling you this from a test writer's point of view. The rationale is more important than the answer. Why? From a rationale, I can create over 100 questions just from a rationale, right? So when you read the question, you look at the choices and you look at the answer, also look at the rationale to find out why your answer is that answer. And that's why you see on all my videos, when I go over these questions with you, I don't just do question, answer. I go over the rationale for the correct answer, plus I explain the rationale of why everything else is wrong. So that way, no matter how your nursing instructor, or if you're taking NCLEX or HESI or ATI or whatever that test is that you're taking, no matter how they flip it to you, you'll do well because you know the material, you know how to understand it. All right, second point. I already made it. You have to practice NCLEX style questions to truly gauge your understanding on the subject matter. So like I said, guys, it is not enough to go to class, read the book, and take notes. You can know that textbook from front to end. If you don't practice questions on each subject, you're doing yourself a disservice. And you will see, once you start practicing those questions, I'm telling you, you're going to see your grades start to go up and up and up, because the more questions that you practice, the more rationales that you look at, you start thinking like these test writers, okay? My third point, you guys kill me with this one. Don't take a million years to answer a question. Again, I can't even with you when you do this. Guys, I give my students a test. They're taking their HESI, their exit, the subject HESI, whatever. And I like walking around the room to see the question that the student has, look at, what their thinking process is. And I will watch these students do this over and over, where they have the mouse on the right answer. It's right there. All they have to do is click. But they sit there and stare at the screen forever and a day. And you want to know what happens when you're doing that? You're talking yourself out of the right answer. Excuse me. When you're taking forever to answer a question, all you're doing is talking yourself out of the right answer, because study after study after study has shown that the first answer that comes to your mind is usually the correct answer. So guys, read the question, look at your choices, and you know what the answer, and you know that you know, choose it. Don't sit there and just toggle over it, because what happens is you're giving yourself enough time to make a story. Okay, so you're looking at the right answer at first, but then you're like, oh, well, what if this happened? What if that happened? What if this? And you turn into Daniel Steele. You're writing your own story. So by the time you're done playing this out in your head, the situation that they gave you in the question, that's not even what you're looking at. You're thinking about what you had in your head, and you're choosing the wrong answer. So stop doing that. What's my next point? Follow directions. That is so easy, but I see so many students who I know the information, but just because they did not read that question correctly, they were rushing, they were nervous, they skipped one word, and one word will make a whole difference in the question. If a question says, what is the wrong thing to do? Which requires nursing intervention? Which requires clarification? Which requires follow-up? All of those statements, those questions, those phrases, basically they're asking you which one is wrong. Okay? So as a nursing student, read closely. Let's say, you missed that and you're looking at your choices, and then you see in your choices, well, something's wrong. I have 4 choices, but 3 of them were right. Only 1 is wrong. Go back and look at the question. Maybe you missed one word that is really asking you which one's the wrong one and not the right one. Okay, so please make sure you follow directions. Read the question to see what they're really asking you. My 5th point. This is a good one. I talk about this all the time on my videos. Don't ignore your textbook. Don't ignore your textbook. I don't understand this. Why? As nursing students, and I shouldn't say I don't understand this, because I did this when I was in nursing school too. I get it. It's a lot of information, and it's not that you're trying to cut corners. It's just so much. You got care plans, you got everything that you have to do. You really don't want to sit there and read your nursing book, so you try to find other resources that are easier. But guys, I'm telling you, your nursing book, your textbook, that is your key. I promise you, those are where your questions are coming from, okay? And I want to dive a little bit deeper in there, because I want to tell you where in your textbook those questions are coming from. Your figures, your charts, your tables, your diagrams, right? Anything that's bolded, anything that's italicized, anything that's highlighted. Guys, and I know, because I was there too, I get it. As nursing students, if you read your textbook, what do? You just want to read the words, right? And you want to skip over those tables and diagrams and figures and charts. And those are where your test questions are coming from. I want you to think about it for one moment. Why do you think the author and the publisher of the textbook would give you a piece of information in the text? You're reading it in the text. And that same information that you're reading in the text, they put in a diagram. And that same information that they put in a diagram, they put in a chart. And that same information that they put in the chart, they put in a figure. Do you think they just want to waste their ink? Do you think they just want to use fill up the pages just to fill up the pages? No. Whenever you see information being repeated, whenever you see the author telling you the same thing in different places or in different ways, that's because it's a test question. They want to make sure that you understand this information, and these authors and the publishers understand that different people learn in different ways. So the things that are truly important to know, they are going to present it in different formats to make sure that you get it through your skull. So whenever you see something in the text and that same thing you saw in the diagram, you see it again in the figure, you see it again in the chart, you see it again in the table, that's a test question. Put a star next to it. Make sure you know it and you commit it to memory. Anything that you see italicized, anything that you see bolded, I guarantee you it's a test question and you need to know it. Anything that's in those little boxes that say drug alert or nursing alert or priority alert, it's a test question. Don't ignore it. Don't just read right over it. I promise you guys, it's important information for you to know. All right, next one. Don't Google. I hate Google. I hate Google for the nursing student, and here's why. Google is a great resource, generally speaking, right? But as a nursing student, Google is not made for medical research or for nursing research, okay? And so something you may look up, if it's a simple definition, just a simple definition, by all means, very quick, Google. But Google should not be your resource when it comes to nursing intervention, when it comes to medical treatment, medical management. Google should not be your source, because about 75 to 80% of the time, what Google will say is going to be different than what your textbook is saying. And the reason for that is because your textbook is preparing you as an entrance nurse, okay? That's what that test you're taking for NCLEX, they know that you're a brand new nurse entering the field, okay? And not somebody who's been practicing a long time. So I'm telling you, if you have a question about a nursing intervention, a treatment, even diagnostic tests, go to your textbook. Do not use Google, because many times the information on Google is not going to be the same as what your textbook is telling you. And guess what? Your test questions are based off of your textbook and not Google. Oh, I like this one. My next point, number 7. Never answer a question based on what you've seen in real life. I've been doing this a long time, guys. And my students that I have that have medical background, you know, whether they were LPNs or EMTs, paramedics, even med techs, CNAs, they tend to do a lot worse than the students who have no medical background at all. And here's why. I'm sorry, guys. I feel like I have something in my eye. Forgive me, but it's annoying me. Okay. Here's why. Those students that have no medical background, the only thing that's in their brain is what they read in the book, in their textbook. But those students with medical background, they have conflicting information. They have information from what's in the textbook and what they see every day in real life on the floor. And guys, 95% of the time, what you see every day in real life on the floor is wrong. Is wrong, and it goes against what your textbook is telling you. Why? In real life, we're concerned about money. You know, our nursing interventions, the things that we do, the orders. I'm sorry, it's real life. Money is a concern. In real life, we're worried about staffing. Most of the time, we don't have enough staffing. So, you know, our nursing interventions, a lot of it is based on being short-staffed. In real life, we're worried about time. You know, we have a certain amount of time to get everything done. So, you know, we might do things that the textbook is completely, you know, against, because we're worried about time. In real life, we're worried about resources. In real life, we're worried about equipment and things that we use, okay? In the textbook world, those things don't exist. You have enough time, you have enough money, you have enough resources, you have enough equipment, you have enough staff to do whatever you need to do for that patient. And it makes a big difference. So I tell all of my students on the first day of school, after I introduce myself, I go over the outline and syllabus. I have, excuse me, my students raise their hands, the ones that have any kind of healthcare background. And I tell them this so they can change their mindset, okay? And I always have those 1 or 2 students that think they know more than me, and they learn very quickly, right? All it takes is a first exam, and they're so shocked. Professor D, no, this is not what we do on the floor. What does your textbook say? And that's what I do. Open up your textbook and tell me what the textbook says about that question that you answered. I give them the test, because I never give the same test twice. I have them open up the book, and they're so shocked. They'll see that what the textbook says, the answer's right there that they didn't choose. They choose what they do in everyday life. And I'm telling you guys, the test writers will kill you with this. How do I know? Because I do it myself. You think I'm going to send anybody out there to go kill my mother, my father, my uncle, my brother? No, I need to make sure that you're a safe nurse, okay? So I'm telling you now, guys, as nursing students, please don't rely on what you see on the floor. Don't rely on what happened in real life. That's another thing, because you know, something may have happened to your brother or your sister or your son or your daughter. Don't rely on that. because those people who are caring for your family members were concerned with time, equipment, staff, resources, money, right? And the textbook does not care about that, and neither does your tests. All right. I think I gave a speech long enough on that. I thought there was an eighth. Oh, okay. My last point. My eighth point, guys, is choose your study group wisely. Don't choose your study group based off of friendship, and I see that a lot. Students who are actually strong students, they were doing very well, but then their grades will start to decline. And the only change I'll notice is they'll, join a different study group, or they'll start a study group and they'll rely on that study group for all their information. And here's the problem with that, guys. First of all, if you're putting a study group together, don't ever meet until everyone is read. Because when everyone has read that textbook and you're meeting to do questions together or discuss or whatever it is, then everyone can have their input and you guys can delve into the book, and somebody might say something that maybe you overlooked in your book and you're like, what are you talking about? And then you go look in your textbook, you're like, oh my gosh, you're right. And then when you go take your test, that same exact thing that your friend said or the person in your study group said was on the test, and you're like, oh, thank God, I had that study group. You want that. You don't want to do a study group where nobody's read and you guys are just reading together. That makes no sense whatsoever, okay? Everybody needs to have read before you guys get together for your study group. And when you're getting together for your study group, a good thing to do is practice questions, okay? Because practicing questions collectively, right? Then, somebody may not agree with the answer. They think it's something else. Then what do you guys do? Delve back into book. I always say this, your textbook needs to be your Bible for nursing school, okay? You go back into the textbook. Well, what does the textbook have to say about this? All right? Another thing about study groups that I want to caution you about, don't put together a study group based on friendship just because somebody's your friend. Okay, because the whole point of a study group is to be successful in a nursing program. You want to pass your test and you want to do well. So if you have a study group full of, people that want to talk about everything but what's in the book, anything but what's on your upcoming exam, you need to find another study group. Or you need to have a talk with that one person or the group collectively and say, hey, you guys are great people, but when we get together for this time that we're doing a study group, it needs to be on the information that's on this textbook. It needs to be us preparing for this exam, okay? Because it makes no sense for you to waste 2, 3, 4 hours of your day, of your time to be in a study group. And I see this a lot. Students spend only 25% of their study group time studying, and the rest they're gossiping, talking about whatever. And they really thought they did something. They really felt that they studied, and then they wonder why they don't do well on their exam. So I caution you about that. Pay attention when you're with your study group. How much time are you guys spending actually studying and talking about the information in the textbook and actually asking questions and practicing questions? And that was my 8th point, guys. Please, I beg you. The whole reason I started this channel is because I want to help you. I want to see you guys succeed. I want to see your life be much easier in the nursing program. And those who have graduated from the nursing program that's studying for their boards, I want to see you succeed. Those that have graduated already, they're studying for their boards. I did a video, I think it's 11 or 12 tips for passing NCLEX. Please watch that video, okay? I give you some very helpful and easy tips to study effectively and prepare yourself for the NCLEX. Guys, if you're watching this, I know that you're a go-getter. I know that you want this. You have it. So I'm telling you, please, just do what you got to do. Put in that time. Read your textbook. Go to class. Take notes and practice questions. And of course, watch my videos. Practice questions with me where I explain the rationale for the answers and the wrong, answer choices as well. Thank you so much for joining me during this time, and I'll see you next time.